Welcome to Stuck, Time to Improv. I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and today we have the lovely and talented Tracey Terry from Bankable CEO, and she's going to talk to you about credit. Because until you establish that startup business, your business credit is your own credit. So thanks for coming, Tracey.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's talk about credit. So what's one of the things that people think that they're wrong about?
Well, I would like to say that when you start with business credit, you have to go back. So you would start with your business entity, and the way in which you name your business entity can get you put on a high risk list when it comes to building your business credit. So you want to make sure that you are cognizant of how you list the name of your business entity, and also that you want to make sure that you use either a virtual address or a brick and mortar address on your paperwork. And your telephone number cannot be a cell phone number or a Google number, because in the financial industry, they have a system that will let them know that your telephone number is a Google Voice or a cell phone number, and also about your address. And your business cell phone number, your main one, has to be listed in 411. And so that comes into play, especially when you're building your business credit, because the way in which you name your business entity, you have to stay consistent. So if you have a corporation and it's like Tracey's Bankable CEO Incorporated, if I spell incorporated out, I must continue to spell incorporated out if I listed it on my business entity paperwork. So now that you have your documents filled out correctly with your telephone number and your address, then when you go to build your business credit profiles, you want them to come up with that information.
Okay,
because
that's really interesting. I had no idea that you needed a brick and mortar phone number, a landline phone number, to be able to register a business. Now, I had done that with my business years and years and years ago, but I've been using my cell phone as my official business number for a long time since then. Right. Could you elaborate a little more about what sorts of structures of business cause red flags, and what's maybe a better way to set up a business?
So, for example, if you're in the real estate industry, because sometimes the real estate industry is up and then sometimes the market is down. So that makes lenders sort of leery about lending money to you, because you never know how stable that market is going to be. So instead of saying that it's Tracey's Real Estate Incorporated, I can say it's Tracey's Incorporated. And then when you list your description and it asks you what your business, your corporation is going to do, instead of saying real estate, you can say business management services. And so that's general, is vague. And so people will be like, well, what's that? Well, I manage the services of my real estate company. So you're saying the same thing, but you're preventing your business entity from being flagged as being high risk. And so most business entities don't know it. They just have a system. So you have numbers attached to you. And so those numbers let the financial industry know, oh, this is a high risk business. And so you get put on that list.
Okay. So when we're looking at startup companies, usually some people have either a product or a service that's brand new that they're offering to people, and they're trying to get their startup off the ground. So would you suggest they start as a doing business as, or what would you suggest?
I would suggest that they start as a business entity, because that's going to start building that corporate veil, and that's going to keep your personal financial separate from your business financial. And so that if something should happen to your business, if it's not separate, they can't come after you. So a DBA is just Tracey in a different way. Okay. So I'm just using me and they can come after me.
So are there questions you should ask to decide whether you want to be an LLC or an S Corp or something else?
It just depends on the business owner. A lot of business owners like LLCs or, S Corps, or I have a C Corp. I have a CPA, and he was the one who recommended me being a C Corp. So I would say do your research.
That's a good idea for a new business, to make sure that they talk to an accountant who can advise them what might be the best business entity for them.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the next step in terms of establishing business credit after you've figured out what kind of entity you're supposed to be?
So then you want to start building your business credit profiles. And so dealing with different vendor types, buying stuff and paying for your product. And so with the business credit, they're more concerned about how soon, making sure that you pay your bills on time and making sure that you're credible. So you always want to pay your bills on time. And not every vendor that you deal with will report to your business credit bureaus. And that's how your business credit is established, by everyone reporting to the business credit bureaus, showing how credible you are as a business owner, and also showing that you can pay your bills on time or early.
Is it better to pay your bills with checks, or should you have a dedicated business credit card?
I would have a dedicated business credit card or pay from my business checking account, so that everything is business related.
Right. It's extremely important to separate your business dealings from your personal dealings. There really need to be in two entirely different organizations, two different banks, or a credit union and a bank, so that there's no question about this is business and this is personal. Otherwise, you could very easily be called a hobby and then nothing's deductible.
Exactly. And if you're commingling the funds and your business entity goes down, then because you have commingled the funds, now those debtors can come after you personally for the debts of your business entity.
Well, this is absolutely fascinating, Tracey. Thank you so much. Is there anything else in particular that people need to know at the very beginning?
Just make sure that you're consistent. The way in which you put your name out there on your business entity paperwork, you want to follow it all the way through on every document that you put out there, because you don't want to have two different profiles out there. And so when you're trying to get business credit or get financing, for those companies to look you up and for there to be more than one profile out there, and they're unsure. And so rather than saying, oh, I think this is the one, they will just reject you.
Okay. The other good reason to use the exact same name every time is if you're dealing with intellectual property, which a lot of startups are. If you've got an invention and you need to patent it, or you need a trademark for something, you want to make sure that the name associated with that is exactly the same in every instance. So thank you again, Tracey Terry from Bankable CEO. We'll put contact information for you in the comments. And I look forward to seeing people again for Stuck, Time to Improv.